If you're planning to build a PC soon, but you don't know where to start, here are 10 quick tips to guide you through the process. Number 1. Define your build's purpose. Before ordering any hardware, decide what your PC's main purpose is, whether it's gaming, content creation, or simple productivity tasks. Each goal points towards different hardware priorities. Keeping this in mind helps prevent overspending on parts that won't actually benefit you. Gaming usually benefits from a stronger GPU, while content creation and other professional workloads often rely more on the CPU performance. Everyday tasks like web browsing or using programs such as Excel, Word, or PowerPoint don't require a dedicated GPU at all, so you can redirect that money towards a better CPU, more storage, or additional RAM. Gaming can also benefit from faster RAM modules, while 3D rendering, photo editing, and video editing may require a significantly higher memory capacity. The best approach is to research what specifications are recommended for the specific programs you plan to use, and choose components that exceed those requirements. I will explain you how to make these choices for your scenario in another video. Number 2. Set a clear budget. Once you defined what your build's purpose is, choose a budget range that fits your finances, but be realistic what you can expect for that amount. For example, it is not possible to build a high-end workstation or gaming PC for $1,000 when the CPU or GPU alone costs more than half of that. I usually recommend aiming for the upper end of your budget, since this gives you the best configuration for your money. However, never exceed your maximum limit, because unexpected expenses such as extra cables, brackets, screws, or tools might find you unprepared. People who work in the same field, as well as professional PC builders, can often give you an estimate of the typical cost for your specific use case. Also, keep in mind that having a particular aesthetic vision, like using only white components, may increase your cost by 10 to 20%. For professional workstations, appearance doesn't matter much as performance, but if you're building a PC for your kit, you might want to make it look attractive too. Number 3. Check component compatibility. Make sure all components are compatible with each other to avoid the headache later. Here's a quick checklist. First, ensure that your motherboard's chipset supports your chosen CPU, as well as RAM type and speed, and it has enough slots for the components you plan to install. The case must also fit the motherboard, so check whether its form factor is supported. Double check that the case can accommodate the length of your selected GPU. If you plan to use water cooling, remember that mounting a radiator in front of the case can reduce the maximum GPU length. If you're buying a more compact case, make sure it's wide enough to fit both the GPU's height and your CPU cooler. Otherwise, you might end up needing a new case. A good rule of thumb is to have at least few millimeters of clearance. Verify that the case includes enough 2.5 and 3.5 inch bays if you plan to use hard drives or SATA SSDs. Ensure the power supply provides enough wattage for your configuration and has the necessary power connectors. You can check my video on PSUs to learn how to calculate this. Lastly, confirm that the case has adequate airflow, especially if you're building a higher-end system. Number 4. Make sure you have the necessary tools. You'll need a Phillips 2 screwdriver for securing the PSU and motherboard to the case, a Phillips 0 screwdriver for mounting M.2 SSDs, and possibly a 5mm socket wrench for moving the motherboard standoffs if needed. Without the 5mm socket, you might struggle using pliers to turn the standoffs, which can flatten their heads and make it even harder to remove. Modern components tend to be more ESD resistant, but an anti-static race band is also recommended to protect your parts from static discharge. Small containers for screws and good lighting will make the build process much easier. Having all the tools and supplies ready before you start will keep the build moving smoothly and prevent frequent interruptions to search for items. Number 5. Watch a few build guides. If you've never assembled a PC before, watching experienced builders go through the process will give you a clearer idea of the overall flow. You'll see which parts to install first, how to route cables, common mistakes to avoid, and how to troubleshoot potential issues. Make sure to watch at least one guide for each major component in your build before you start. This will give you the confidence you need to assemble your own PC. Number 6. Read the manuals. Even after watching few videos, it's important to carefully read your components manuals to avoid mistakes. Be sure to check your motherboard's manual to find the fastest M.2 slot for your SSD, the best PCI Express slot for your GPU, and which RAM slots to populate first. It's also helpful to have the header layout in front of you, so you can easily identify where each cable connects. Spending a few minutes reading can save you hours of troubleshooting later. Number 7. Create a simple checklist. A checklist keeps you organized, especially during your first build, when there are many small steps you can easily forget. Write it down and follow the steps to avoid going back and forth. You can pause the video to check this quick version or download the full checklist from the description. Number 8. Avoid over-tightening screws. Never force screws. Tighten them only until they feel secure. Over-tightening can crack the motherboard, damage case threads, or stress delicate parts. If you need a lot of force, it's often because the screw isn't properly seated, and continuing may cross-thread it, making it impossible to tighten correctly. A good rule of thumb is to hand tighten screws first when it's possible, and for small screws, rotate them slightly counterclockwise until they click into place before tightening. Number 9. Keep your workspace clean and organized. A clean workspace helps you stay focused and prevent small parts from getting lost. Keeping your tools and components organized reduces the risk of mixing up things, dropping screws, or damaging parts. What I like to do is open all the boxes, lay out the parts in front of me, and set the boxes aside before starting the build. This keeps your area tidy and speeds up the process by avoiding the need to search for components one by one. Using a magnetic board with designated spots for screws can be a huge help. If you don't have one, small plastic containers work just as well to keep screws safe and organized. Number 10. Take your time. Finally, probably the most important tip is to never rush when building a PC, especially if it's your first time. Naturally, we all want to finish quickly and start gaming as soon as possible, but rushing often causes mistakes, like forgetting to connect something or creating problems that add extra work later and slow everything down. The truth is, your first build probably won't go as smoothly as you hope, and unexpected issues will inevitably come up. However, as long as you stay focused and take your time, you'll get through any challenge. Being patient and organized is all that it takes to build your dream PC. I hope these tips help you with your first build. If they do, feel free to hit the thumbs up button. And if you have any experience with PC building, please feel free to share your own tips in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe as more detailed videos are coming soon. Thanks for watching.